Well, it's a tangle of impaired thinking, decision-making, and survival skills. The cycle of domestic abuse goes beyond the physical evidence of violence. News Channel 9's Bianca Cervantes takes us into the brain in her special assignment.
The question may have crossed your mind when hearing or witnessing cases of abuse among couples. Why do they put up with that? Maybe that question lingers if you're a victim. Tonight we go beyond the bruises on the surface and into the brain where destruction begins. I will warn you that what you are about to see and hear may be a little bit intense.
My mommy and daddy are having a fight between mommy.
Coffee hurting her.
He makes a red marks on mama's neck.
He did what?
Oh my God!
What's the matter?
That was a 911 phone call made by a 6-year-old in 1991. The woman and child made it out alive and the abuser was jailed, but the harm remains.
Well, observing, hearing the sounds, hearing their mother scream, hearing the violence is very traumatizing.
But observation or experience of abuse aren't the only factors. Child development specialist Eunice Martinez says it also has to do with a nurturing childhood environment.
That helps shape a child's psychological and emotional development. A child who is loved and nurtured develops trust and security. Absence of that makes a child insecure and incapable of trust and healthy bonds. Trust and bonding are linked to feel-good hormones produced in the brain. Proper development goes all the way back to the neonatal phase, as explained by Dr. Michael Escamilla.
It actually starts, in utero, so it's very early because that's when synapses are forming, the neurons are starting to connect in certain ways.
Neurons or nerve cells send electrical impulses from cell to cell and are responsible for sending these feel-good hormones through the brain. So even inside the womb, a child can be neurologically affected in the face of stress and violence. And after birth, those effects can be detrimental.
Children who are exposed to family violence often grow up to either be victims themselves or aggressors because that pattern of violence is instituted into their way of living.
Psychotherapist Sylvia Casabianca says women may even learn to link abuse with love in mind.
But not all victims or aggressors had a violent past. Take Suki Burciaga. Her first encounter with violence happened as a teen with her boyfriend.
I was wearing, I think, some jeans that he didn't like. He didn't think it was appropriate for me to be wearing those jeans. So he slapped me across the face. I was in shock.
And that type of reaction is not uncommon.
They just stop, and don't know what to do.
Suki's boyfriend then followed a common cycle of domestic abuse.
He called me and apologized. I'm sorry. It's never going to happen again. I'm not going to hurt you. I love you and all that stuff. So I believed him.
Experts say the building of tension and anger between the couple eventually leads to an incident or an argument.
And then there is a crisis phase, being hurt, being upset, crying. He realizes, what have I done? And will start to apologize, tell her how sorry he is. They kind of make up. Then there's a phase we call the honeymoon phase.
During the honeymoon phase, there's a release of the feel-good hormones. But that honeymoon phase doesn't last long.
This repeats over and over again, and what it does on both parts is it acts as a kind of a reinforcement loop.
This repeat behavior wires both the victim and the aggressor's brains.
So it becomes very hard to change. If you had a certain experience, your body, your brain is trained to react in a certain way.
Mrs. Casabianca says a victim of repeated abuse likely suffers from mental disturbances such as depression.
Some of the symptoms of depression are hopelessness, lack of motivation, kind of inertia.
A patient will also lose their sense of identity and self-esteem. In the brain, it's a depletion of those feel-good hormones.
You're nothing. You think you could survive without me? You'll never get a job. No one would ever want to hire you. No man would want you. Look at you with your 3 kids. Who would want you?
the woman's brain fails to function normally, making it difficult for her to leave or even seek help.
Depression, that part of the brain is not working as well. You're slowed down, you're not making good decisions.
But a solution is not always easy to come by for a victim.
One of the tools that aggressors use very effectively is isolation from their family. They'll isolate them from their friends. They pull the support group or natural support systems that we all have.
Sometimes it's an issue of financial dependence or the fear of independence.
Family and marriage therapist Linda Graham says children who grew up insecure and anxious are subject to abandonment fears in the brain, and that's the excessive release of stress hormones.
And in many cases, these aggressors, in abusing their partner, are expressing their own fears of abandonment, and they'll do whatever it takes, even violence, to make them stay.
Everyone's story is different, and while there are common threads around domestic violence, we know that, again, that each person is unique.
The important thing is to get help and regain your sense of self and safety. Statistics show that it takes an average of 8 attempts to leave, but it isn't impossible.
What we feel is that each time they come back, they're stronger.
Upon getting treatment and help, the brain is capable of regaining healthy response again.
Once you're out of the depression, that part of your brain is working better.
We say that asking for help is a sign of strength, not a sign of weakness.
I'll close with a phrase from Mrs. Sylvia Casabianca, quote, "Do not blame the victim." Now, there are resources available to begin the process of damage reversal. The number for the Center Against Family Violence is on your screen, and I've posted alternative options on ktsm.com. And please, share this with anyone you may feel can benefit. It can save someone's life. In the News Center, Bianca Cervantes, News Channel 9.